Welcome to Commanding the 99. Dive into the world of Magic the Gathering with us, where we explore deck techs, strategies, and the art of commanding your game. With the release of Tarkir Dragonstorm around the corner, what a better time to have a deck tech for the Dragon. This deck is tailored for those who seek to wield a deck that embraces both thematic flavor and mechanical strength. Whether you're looking to outvalue your opponents with the Dragon's Eminence ability, dominate with massive flying threats, or craft powerful synergies between dragons, this deck tech will break down how to maximize every aspect of this commanding tribe. From mana acceleration to ensure your high-cost dragons hit the battlefield swiftly, to tribal synergies and utility spells that bolster your aerial army, we'll cover the core strategies, key inclusions, and even budget considerations for building and piloting the Dragon. The Dragon is a 10/10 legendary dragon avatar with Eminence. As long as the Dragon is in the command zone or on the battlefield, other dragon spells you cast cost one less to cast. It also has flying, and whenever one or more dragons you control attack, draw that many cards, then you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. The Eminence ability plays a huge role in this deck. Only 4 cards were ever printed with Eminence, and it's easy to see why. They're almost impossible to interact with and don't cost anything. Having a deck with all 5 colors, ramp is a non-negotiable to make sure you have the lands you need. Farseek, 3 Visits, and Nature's Lore allow you to get more than just a basic land. They specify land types, whereas cards like Cultivate and Rampant Growth specify basics. If you run Shocks and Triomes, they now become fetchable, and the minor inconvenience of having it enter tap pays off dividends in the later turns. Other lands you may want to contemplate are the Commander lands. Now that they've been reprinted, the prices have been almost cut in half. If you have more than one opponent, they come into play untapped. Not just in Dragons, but in any 5-color deck, having the colors you need becomes the foundation of the win. In addition to the Dragon providing cost reduction for your dragons, there are a few others I would include as well. Dragon Speaker Shaman, Dragon Lord Servant, and Urza's Incubator. They all provide early cost reduction that can change turn 5 play into a turn 3 play. The Incubator is a bit pricey, so I figured I'd provide an alternative, Urza's Filter. It's a bit more specific, but it can still help. Now let's see what all this ramp and cost reduction would be for. In the latest D&D set, 5 new Elder Dragons were introduced into Magic: Ancient Brass, Bronze, Copper, Gold, and Silver Dragon. Sadly, no frankincense and myrrh. They each allow you to roll a d20 after they deal combat damage to a player. Brass will allow you to reanimate potentially a ton of things. Bronze could add quite a few counters to 2 creatures. Copper can provide a treasure hoard dockside extortionist with the envious of. Gold can provide an army of fairy dragons with flying, and silver can remove your hand limit after replenishing it. Now the ceiling on these cards is extremely high, but the floor is pretty low too. This next group of dragons gives Great Balls of Fire a whole new meaning. Hellkite Courser is a 6/5 dragon with flying that costs 4 and 2 red. It says when Hellkite Courser enters, you may put a commander you own from the command zone onto the battlefield. It gains haste. Return it to the command zone at the beginning of the next end step. It's only appropriate with the Dragon providing cost reduction that at least one dragon return the favor. One thing to note, cheating out the Dragon this way does not increase commander tax because you didn't cast your commander. Next we have Miram, Sentinel Worm. Miram is a 6/6 legendary dragon spirit with flying and ward 2. Miram costs 3, a green, a blue, and a red. It says whenever another non-token dragon you control enters, create a token that's a copy of it, except the token isn't legendary. With all the big threats in this deck, potentially getting a copy of each one spells disaster for your opponents. So the included ward 2 helps just for a bit. Moving on to Old Gnawbone. Old Gnawbone is a 7/7 legendary dragon with flying that costs 5 and 2 green. It says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. With the high powers the creatures in this deck have, plus flying, your chances are quite high to create a ton of treasures. Next we have Rith, Liberated Primeval. Rith is a 5/5 legendary dragon with flying and ward 2. For 2, a red, a white, and a green. Rith says other dragons you control have ward 2. If the beginning of your end step, if a creature or planeswalker an opponent controlled was dealt excess damage this turn, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. Providing ward 2 to all your dragons and being a token generator, Rith does almost everything you want a card to do. Next in line, we have Udvara Hellkite. It costs 6 and 2 red for a 6/6 dragon with flying. It says whenever a dragon you control attacks, create a 6/6 red dragon creature token with flying. Keyword here is attacks. Doesn't even have to do combat damage like the aforementioned Rith. Moving on to Wrathful Red Dragon. 3 and 2 red for a 5/5 dragon with flying. It says whenever a dragon you control is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target that isn't a dragon. With a lower converted mana cost versus the other dragons in this deck, you may want to play it sooner, but I found it brings more value to the board coming out in the later game after you've established a few dragons on the board. And last, but certainly not least, Klauth Unrivaled Ancient. Klauth is a 4/4 legendary dragon for 5, a red, and a green. It has flying, haste, and whenever Klauth Unrivaled Ancient attacks, add X mana in any combination of colors, where X is the total power of attacking creatures. Spend this mana only to cast spells. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. The turn Klauth comes out, you're likely to have at least 10 power attacking to refund you its cost, and then some. Now in every great tribal deck, there are a few cards that are just too good to be cut, even if they don't belong to the tribe. Dragons are no different. The two must-adds are Morophon the Boundless and Kodama of the East Tree. Well, Morophon is a changeling, so technically it is a dragon, just minus the wings. The cost reduction that Morophon provides, in addition to the Dragon, makes plays like two-headed dragon cost nothing. Kodama of the East Tree can potentially give you a free creature each turn. Now what's any commander deck without board wipes? These just happen to be dragon themed as well. Crux of Fate is a sorcery for 3 and 2 black for what just might be the best one-sided dragon board wipe. Choose one, destroy all dragons, or all non-dragons. Pretty obvious the go-to pick here. Kindred Dominance costs 5 and 2 black for a sorcery that reads, choose a creature type. Destroy all creatures that aren't of the chosen type. A bit more costly versus Crux of Fate, but the value of saving your board is worth it. Blood Money is a sorcery for 5 and 2 black that destroys all creatures. For each non-token creature destroyed this way, you create a tapped treasure token. 5 and 2 black is definitely on the more expensive end for a board wipe, but the treasures it can provide will allow you to rebuild much faster otherwise. And there you have it. With dragons being a historic tribe in Magic, they always get support. So keep an eye out on the next sets for upgrades. Thanks for watching. Until next time, this is Commanding the 99.